Hi everyone, welcome to the Advancement Centre and welcome to the world of magic and miracles. As I connect with each one, you'll feel a little bit of a change in everything around you, and you will step past where you were before. This connection will open that special source that we've experienced once before. And that source is your own being. And the golden light that you feel seeping into your being will bring that special knowingness of your own presence back into the physical world. So now you can feel that you're in both places and that the energy field is much different to before because we have joined them together. And the movement between Earth and your special place is now in play. This is what drives your whole future. The knowingness of the Earth and the interaction of your being creates a field that is totally different to anything that ever existed on Earth. As I open that further, you'll become much more comfortable with the slight buzz that you can generate at any time you wish. To feel that golden light and to know that it's shining from your eyes right now is why we're all here. This is a special time, not just in everybody's life, but a special time. And it's here to indicate that it is a time that goes throughout the universe and does not relate to the movement of the universal structure. It's the time when everything's perfect for you at any time in your life. Because it is available to you, you can actually disconnect from the regular time base and live with the time of perfection that is non-linear, follows no path, has no logic, and relates to nothing. Feel the calmness that exists in your time. Your time happens all the time. And it takes you to the high spots of everything you could ever imagine. All day, every day. And if you need to be recalled from that time, it's not a zone, it's not a place, and nothing can connect with you except your own internal clock that can alarm to you that there's something happening in the world where you need to change into the standard format of celestial time. As you begin to move forward again, you'll see that you don't need the celestial time. It needs you. So let it alarm you when it needs your attention. Don't bother about living anywhere but in your own time. And it's not a time zone. It's in a time where everything is perfect, where every action happens right now, and where every part of the future can be sampled without having to wait, because it has no relativity. That time of perfection is yours, and it's yours all the time. This is something that you slip straight into and your brain slips straight out of, because it has no place there. It has no structure. But the smile on your face tells that that is the perfection of life that encompasses all definitions and throws them out at the same time. Everything you know is not important. But if you didn't know it all, you wouldn't be here right now. And that's how this time exists. It exists for you. There are cycles that you cannot deny that are attached to the movement of each day, to the movement of the clock. But they don't have to be until they're engaged. And so in your world, there is no such thing as waiting time. There's no such thing as wait until. There's no such thing as even what time is it? Because your body clock runs on a whole different process. It has many functions. It has the function of eating and sleeping, which are attached to the everyday clock. But there's nothing else within you or around you that follows that clock. How many times do you blink? Why do you blink right now? When do you have a thought? What made it up? Do you respond quickly or slowly? Are you feeling slow or are you feeling fast? Totally disconnected from time in the sense of everyday time. As you become more aware that it's your time, you will follow it, you'll enjoy it, you'll feel the energy flow, you'll feel it keep rising and never stopping, because it's yours. And that's how you interface with the special aspects of the world, not by any other time. That's how your communication is unique. You change what carries it, and what carries it is timeless. So you can change anything in any part of anything around you because of your time. This is what creates dimensions, because you immediately just change a function within your time, and it's not a linear function. The person you're talking to can pick that up and ride with it, and you can have a conversation in the middle of a bunch of people and nobody knows what you're talking about. This is where encryption came from. They copied what we do every day. But in fact, if you find a child at the right time and ask them to read an encrypted message, they'll read it straight to you. It might only happen once in their life, but it's been done many, many times. When we used to have binary coded lights, many people could read what they were saying without having any idea of the formula behind it. So where we're going is we're going right to the source of everything that connects to the world that you came into. And it connects in response to your presence and your being and your time. And that's why you never run into anyone. Unless you lock your time onto somebody else, it can't be followed. It's perfect encryption. And that's why you can walk around all day and you seem like you're doing the same as everyone else. But you know you're not. You know you're not even in the same field as them. And you might sit in a theatre with 1,000 people and know that nobody knows what you're doing, nobody knows what you're feeling, because you're not thinking. You're in your time. As you think, you have to come out and go into linear time. And you start transmitting, and everybody knows what you're thinking. But the total encryption is in your time. Because I mentioned the brain, it just came in. And it tries to scatter everything and say, no, I've got to get all this in order. So I'll just allow you to go straight back to where you were and sit in that beautiful space where there is nothing but perfection and the golden light, and feel the flow again. This is your time. Now, as I do this, you might wonder how that happens with me and not with you. If you wish to do what I do, you can. But I'm in my time. I come out and connect to show you your time. And that's why I can show you your world. Because I can match those times individually for each person and not impose on anybody. I have no explanation for that, but it's a fact. So as we interact, you get the opportunity to step past all the limiting functions that you may have had through influences, through life in general. And you feel safe because there's a second person holding your frequency at your level and in your time, so that you can look at your own book. You can open the pages and check it out, and nobody else knows. And you know that I don't go into anybody's world, I just access it. So now that we're experiencing these things that used to be unusual, it's really obvious that it's so simple. As long as you can see your own individuality in a different light to what you ever saw before. It's in your own encrypted time that you run by for every experience and for every interconnection with the world. And that is different again for the universe and beyond. And only you can change that or make it extend to where you want it to. If you've ever seen how they can point a laser and make it focus 2 foot away from the wand or 100 foot away from the wand, and you see a dot, and they can actually draw with it, and it looks like you've drawn in midair. That's internal focus of many frequencies. We do that all the time. This is how we select who we want to talk to, who we want to attract, how we want to feel, what part of the earth we really want to connect with right now. And without looking, you can reconnect to any part of the world, to a flower, to your favourite vision, to your favourite person, to the beach, to any experience you wish. And it's done through that function which is based on your time. So how easy is that? You don't have to do anything. You just have to know it's there. You don't get out of your own time zone. Wrong word there. I shouldn't have used zone. You don't get out of your own time, because your time is active and it's in all directions and it has no relativity. It's like if someone asks you to stop something, you say, yeah, in a minute. You don't just go stop. You have to be finished by this time. Yeah, that'll be all right. And you'll take it to where you know it's okay. It's nothing to do with the constructed time, and it's nothing to do with the planetary time. So the more we repeat that word, time, and it's your time, the more you know exactly what it is, and the quicker you are at picking me up if I say it wrong. Because everybody understands it. And now you know it better than I do, because it's yours. And you will start to teach people of its presence, not of its content. And you can teach in that light, but you cannot ask anyone to learn. You can say, this is what's there, but I can't explain it. But if you really connect with the fact we're talking about it, you'll know anyway. Many of the people of the world are aware of these things, but not in the new awareness of how it connects to everything. Many have taught systems to attempt to get in touch with this sort of thing. We didn't show you anything, we just said there it is. And you all knew, and you didn't have to learn anything, because the second you felt it as yours, you knew exactly what it was. And now, if we just increase the flow again, you're all running. And it's as simple as that. Your power system just turned on because it's in your time zone, not in your time zone, is it? In your time, under your system, that you know exactly how to use. And if you didn't get goosebumps with that movement, try again. Because this is your world. And it will never be taken away. It never has been. What has happened is it's all come into alignment where it will show in every part of your physical world. And so the second you look at something, you'll feel its movement into that place that we keep talking about, where the golden light fills you totally, and it flows backwards and forwards, and in and out and all over the place, just as it does when you sit and start to throw your body's energies all around the place. This is the reason for the first exercise I ever introduced, and that was to swing your energies around like a loose cape, and then let them go until they start to sparkle, make music, and find their own pattern. Because of that, you found your own pattern, and it works instantly as soon as I mention it. So now if we look at what happens in your everyday life, you can't look at it from linear and decide on anything. You go into your time, then you can look at linear. Because nobody knows your time except you. And when you look into linear, you can decide whether you want to be in it or not. Whether you want to just walk at half pace or high speed or whatever you wish. If you want to do something, you can change the whole structure of what you want to do so that it happens in a second. And it might have been something that takes a month. And the way you do that is you stay in your zone and allow yourself to run at the pace you can run. And never try to prove it to anyone. Not even yourself. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll find that you know stuff that you didn't know before. It'll just pop out of your mouth and you think, how did I get all that? You changed time. And you made a process disappear into your time. That can only happen from you. It can't happen when you go into the structure. So if you're in the structure, give yourself a chance every minute or so to just pop out of the structure and feel your own time. And you'll get a buzz and you'll smile and you'll know that you're still alive. Many places we go make us feel dead. And it can happen in your own house. And if you give yourself a second to look and feel your time, you'll actually see past your image, and you'll see the image of the real being that's sitting behind or right inside of the picture that you look at in the mirror. And a good exercise is to just look in the mirror and then step back a fraction, but without moving your body. And you watch. Your eyes will change. You'll see a different image, and you'll know you're looking at that special being that's you. That's because of your time. And the encryption that you have in the universe that is never ever the same, ever. It keeps moving, and it can't hold a structure that is fixed by this time. So when we start to look at the practicalities of what I'm talking about, there'll be an explanation that pops up inside you, but it won't mean anything because it'll have the word time in it. And everybody else knows time as linear time. And so you can talk about it freely because it's an acceptable word. But the fact that nobody can understand that your time and the time that they're standing in, totally different. Until you decide to connect with the person and have a conversation. And that's when you make a dimension that they understand. So that's one of the other very important things in conversation. You are showing your skill in matching two times to create another that can only be accessed by those two times. You do it all the time, but now you know what you're doing, you'll have a lot of fun, because the energy will flow, the person will feel great, the interaction between you will be so different, because you're actually recognizing that other person's skill. And so you each feel the beauty of your own presence in a conversation that is used to create a dimension. When we move forward a little further, we will start to actually allow people to demonstrate these little features that we're talking about, that are not so little, they're mind-blowing. They will create in a crowd a whole different way of being in an instant, because with a quick scan you connect to each person individually, as I do with you. In a quick scan they all recognize you, and in a quick scan you let the energy flow, and you just do this, and away it goes, and everything bubbles to where it's supposed to go and supports everything about you and produces a picture of the mystery of that person that just waved their hands. A complete understanding without definition and without the words that we expect. Every time anybody has tried to explain interconnection with other people, they come up with this monstrous list of problems. Because why shouldn't they? It's impossible. When you match in time and spirit, and you allow their energies to flow and your energies to flow, and you connect through that golden light, there is no question. It's all perfect. And even a definition of love will close you down, because it's not right. What is right is recognition of one another's brilliance by interacting in these special ways to allow the energies to flow and to connect between the earth and your origin through your time. So I think we're about to shortly go for a break. But the subject I brought up was one that I wrote about a couple of days ago. And when I started to write, it was quite amazing. I'd only written a couple of words and I knew exactly what it was about. But I kept writing, and many of the explanations you'll see in my writing are so simple that we can't see why we didn't see it before. The gathering of all the beings of the universe at the moment has turned the hologram to where we can recognize it. And because that has happened, all the little things are starting to be recognized. And we can talk to one another as if we were looking at a hologram, saying, look at that, wow, have a look at that. And you don't see it unless someone points it out. So that's all I'm doing, pointing out what's been shown to us and allowing us all to have the thrill of that magic of life that we always knew about. So we'll go to a break and we'll come back with some more interesting stuff afterwards. Thank you. So welcome back, everyone. What we went through before was quite exciting for me to see the response of everyone and to feel the interaction of everything that I spoke about. So what we're going to do is go a little bit further and see how this applies to us in the future and how each person can contribute to this advancement. We spoke some time ago about having lots of advancement centres, and we're still heading that direction. I know that it might be frustrating for some to think they can't see anything that they can really do to spread this apart from live it. That frustration is starting to disappear, because as you live it, you can see it starting to spread. We're not far from the point where we'll be able to actually put together some formal steps that are guidelines that people can use to start their own advancement centres. And initially you may want to use our material. You don't have to. We're all connected and will always remain connected, even if you start an advancement centre in a whole different direction. But the advancement is the advancement of humanity. And it takes so many forms in so many people's lives and at different parts of your life. Many things stand out more to one person than another. And so as we work towards everyone's advancement, we need every angle. We need more views of the hologram. And we need to make them available. And so what we're doing here is making the initial part available so that we can then allow the special connections that we have to start sparking things in other people, attracting different people together all over the world at different angles. So without having some formal base, the world itself won't understand, but we will. So we're constantly putting little pieces together that come through in the writing or just an idea, but knowing that we're not going to follow any one path. It's like we can see the overall and all the components are starting to come together. We started these broadcasts with one camera and lots of things to learn. We didn't learn much, we just got better. And more things turned up to suit the application. And now we're happy that we can do it fairly well. But we don't have a regimented process, except for a final checklist. The regimented process actually belongs to the fact that different people turn up and make it happen. So we expect the Advancement Centre to grow in the same way. Different people will turn up and make it happen. But we do need that initial one camera and a computer and a bit of know-how to get online. The bit of the know-how that we'll pass on will be in accordance with what anybody expresses. They may want to do broadcasts. They may want to use data for preparation of courses. They may want to travel They might want to just expand what we have. All of that we have to actually allow to come together. And so I've been told that within the next month, I'll have something formulated that will allow this all to take off. I know that we have behind us major resources of the type that I can't explain. But one of the resources is all the data that we've already got recorded and all the information we have written, all the experiences that we have on our websites, and all the free movement that we've been given from other places that allow us to move in and out of society, the universe, situations, feelings, without aggression. And that is going to be the key to the interaction that we put together to grow the advancement centers throughout the world. Besides know-how, there's an excitement and there's that sparkle that we mentioned, where you follow that sparkle because it's a light only when it's new. You only see that sparkle in somebody's eyes when there's something new, there's a new connection, there's a new feeling. You'll look at your computer and a million names, or look at Facebook and there's a million faces there, and you'll look at one and say, I think I need to know that person. And the network starts. And each individual feeling of, I've got to do this, initially may frighten you, but it's always correct. We've been trained to keep out of the unknown. But now, the sparkle is training us to only go with the unknown. And so we will build despite the system. Not to spite the system, despite. The system wants us to follow a formula. Our formula can't be written, but it does follow new. It does follow excitement, and it does follow your time. And as soon as I mention that again, the flow starts. So your time will take you to where you need to be. Your time will make the flow happen between places you've never known before. And it will connect to multitudes of dimensions that can bypass all the systems of the earth. So when we get a little bit more mobile with that, we will have Simeon talking regularly, because he's nominated that all the systems of the world are not a problem. And you have no say, you're going to get help. Even if you don't ask, even if you say no, you're going to get help. You will be guided, and it will be great fun. I know I've lived with Simeon alongside me all my life. And sometimes he's the funniest man I've ever come across. Other times, he'll let me get so far into something that I end up saying, what am I doing here? And he'll say, well, you didn't ask me. Well, what am I doing here? You'll have to tell me what you're doing there, because if you'd have asked me, should you go there, I'd have said no. And you say, well, aren't you there to guide me? No, I'm there to make sure you're okay. And you can go there, you can jump off the cliff if you like, and I'll make you okay. And so there's no restriction, but you'll get help. It needs a little bit of sense, but many times it plays little jokes, gives you a sensation he's there, and then won't talk to you. Or you start to talk, and he's not there. And you never think to ask what's that about, but it's usually just to change your pattern. You might be standing in the middle of the room or walking down the street, and all of a sudden you get this amazing buzz. And you go, wow, is that you, Simeon? He doesn't answer. But what it does is it changes your whole focus. And it makes a world a really interesting place. So I'm looking forward to everybody enjoying that presence, that interaction, and the interaction with the beings that you understand are so good for you. And as we move further into demonstrating the skills that you have, we will actually bring people online that have channeled information and brought it through so that they want someone to decipher it. There's always someone who has the answer. And it might be somebody that's no relationship to the idea or the principle that they're working with. It can be a young child or a little old lady or a boy down the street just says something and you say, that's it. That's the key to everything I've been channeling for 20 years. And it all changes. And instead of it being fictitious stuff, it changes the pattern so that you can actually see what it means. This whole movement forward is not a competition, and it's not in competition with what's happening in the world. It's here to enhance everything, and to enhance everything in the world, and not throw anything out. Without the enhancement, many things look really bad. But without those things that look really bad, enhancement doesn't work. So if you don't have a horrible looking painting, you can't enhance it. You have to have the base thing there first. And so many of the things in the world that you think are wrong or problems or working wrong or need changing actually don't. They only need a perspective change. And everything around it will be different. It's like looking at a bowl of water. If you've got the wrong reflection behind it, everyone will keep away and say that's dirty. But you change your perspective, you'll see it's sparkling and clean and clear, and you'll go to it. So there are many, many things that we'll talk about. Many thousands of things that each person has in their life that they think needs an answer, but it only needs a new perspective. And that new perspective is yours, and it's attached to your time. And we mention the word again, and you go, it is. I know that. So the more we expect from our own time, the more it will respond. And we were just talking about some obscure subject that had nothing to do with time. And as soon as I mentioned it, boom, it took it over. This is your key to the future. So the next thing we're going to do will be program a few things that will allow people to get together. Not in a format that we've ever done before. Not even in a workshop format. It'll be better than that. It'll be like an advanced course in advancement. And if you can explain that to somebody, well, they'll turn up. But an advanced course in advancement is taking you beyond even the stuff we can see. It's taking you to where you don't train anything, you live it. You don't train yourself, you live yourself. And you live it with flamboyance and total dishonor. You just go for it. And in that, you don't even have to move. You can be 100-year-old and still do it. So the advancement goes on, and it goes on beyond going on. And we really need the leaders of advancement to put their hand up and say, I'm in, even though they don't know what they're in about or what they want to do. And we'll be putting something out about that very soon so that we can get some feedback and start to get people involved in at least starting something. Even if it's one special step each day of going to the computer and seeing if you can find another person. So with that in mind, I'm going to finish off a little early, but what I want to do is get your time moving and moving and moving and dancing and being alive, and allow you to live with that for the rest of the few days before we meet again. And there it goes. And that liveliness of energies, of movement, of everything that's yours is traveling between all different spaces and back into the earth. So thank you all, and we'll see you all again next week. Enjoy. Bye.